Loading Snacks.
What's good, Loading Snacks Universe? Your boy Jokes is here. I got the homie Marcus, and it is time for another edition of the Finisher Podcast.
Finisher.
Marcus, how you doing, good sir?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a little tired. I mean, that's just kind of the normal, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk some wrestling. Thank you to everyone out there that is currently either watching or listening, depending on what platform you are currently on. This is the Finisher Podcast, where we come here and we just talk all things wrestling, past, present, news, whatever it may be, things that we have on our mind. We're here to have a good time with you guys. As usual, me and Marcus, we have a couple of topics that we're going to talk about. And then at the end of the show, we're going to have a topic that is going to be exclusive to Patreon. So if you want to be able to hear that final topic that we have of the night, the only way to hear that is to subscribe to the Loading Snacks Patreon, and so you can be a part of that there. And don't get me wrong, we do talk wrestling. There's a lot more content as well, too. So whether you're into anime, you're into some movies, spoiler boys, and a whole bunch of other stuff, we have tons and tons of other content. So please, by all means, wherever you're at, like, share, subscribe on whatever platform you may be on. But for now, we are here to talk about some wrestling. And man, there hasn't been any super crazy things that have happened as of recently, but I think there's still some noteworthy things that have occurred.
Most definitely.
So I want to go ahead and I want to kick the show off. Like, we've talked about this a little while ago. But TNA.
Yep.
TNA has, of course, done their rebranding, come back as TNA from Impact Wrestling. And things seem to be, for a time, on the up and up. But as of these past few weeks, we've seen, or I should say days at this point, we've seen some good things and then possibly some not so good things, depending on how these things come about. Not sure if you heard about any of this stuff that's been going on, Marcus, but we're about to dive into it. I'm going to start with, I don't want to say bad, potentially, because it could just be depending on how things turn out. But over the last few days, apparently TNA has released some not stars, but some of the, I guess you could say, people in prominent positions that are doing certain things backstage. I don't know if you've heard anything about this as of yet, Marcus.
No, not a lot. I've heard some whispers here and there, but not like a full scope of what's going on.
Gotcha. So this is coming from a couple different sources. So Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, which we know is a pretty reliable source, and also PW Insider. So a couple of names, and for those that are only familiar with, of course, like wrestlers in front-facing people, you may not know these names as much. R.D. Evans and David Shahadi, apologize if I didn't say that right, have left the company. Now, these names may not really mean a lot to everybody, but their titles were, one, VP of Marketing at Anthem, which, of course, Anthem is the parent company currently of TNA.
Yep.
And also backstage when it came time for, like, scheduling their live events and live events that are coming up. Now, mind, those are just two of the names as of right now. And apparently there have been, I would just say a handful, not a lot, but a handful of names from behind the scenes that have either been let go or have apparently, I say, chosen to resign and leave their positions. Now, after Scott D'Amore being let go, which a lot of people like that came from far left field, like not expecting or whatnot ever. It seemed like Anthem wanted to take TNA and wants to go into a different direction.
Yeah.
Clearly that's the case. Like with any company, you know, when we can't say like merging or all that because they've been part of the same company now for a good while now. There can be some redundancies when it comes time for certain positions and all that. Now, with seeing some of these names disappearing from the company, it's once again got me wondering. Like I thought TNA was getting a nice little foothold back. Shows were starting to do pretty good.
Yep.
But now it looks like I don't want to say this could be a lack of better or bad term, but trimming the fat. I'm not sure where this is going at right now.
I would even say it's trimming the fat because like the people that have either been let go, released, or resigned have all been key people, like keeping TNA afloat, keeping the lights on. So if anything, that's the meat and not fat.
I dig that. And like with TNA, especially trying to take things, really back on the road once again. When you take away the person that's kind of been facilitating, where things are going to be at. Now we know Anthem, of course, they do events, like so they're not necessarily a stranger to doing this type of work, but we know the wrestling side of things necessarily haven't been their forefront. It just makes me wonder what it is that we're actually doing once again. Because it seemed like things had become solid, but now it seems like we're shaking the floor again. But for all of the, and I don't want to say necessarily they're a bad thing, because obviously we can't see so much of that stuff backstage. There have been some good things that we have seen. We've seen Jordynne Grace, of course, coming and participating in the Royal Rumble. Absolute amazing job there. But now, as of this past NXT, she's now going to be challenging Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. And when this was announced, they did this live on NXT. Far left field from what we were actually thinking, or who we were potentially thinking of being a challenger for that. I'm like, okay, this partnership thing between WWE and TNA really seems to be happening. Even though we're using
but it's only on the women's side, though, if you've noticed.
It's only been right now with Jordynne Grace, and I feel like they've used her as like that litmus test. And 100%, I'm gonna say, I think she's a complete success in coming over onto the WWE side. Not only on the main roster, clearly with the Royal Rumble.
I feel now, this is a good and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Why? Yeah, go ahead.
So, yes, as amazing as it is seeing Jordynne Grace show up at NXT and challenge Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship, I don't want to see Jordynne lose. Because I feel as she is she's the TNA Women's Champion. Mm-hmm. That means she's at the highest level in the women's division over there. If she were to lose to Roxanne Perez, the NXT champion, which is not the main brand champion. No disrespect to Roxanne Perez, just keeping it a buck. I feel like that will hurt TNA more. Like, the match is going to be great. Don't get me wrong.
Definitely.
But just, I don't want that prestige of that title losing face value. Because, like, I don't see her winning the NXT title and then going to TNA and being like, I'm a dual champion now. Like, I don't think we're in that level of WWE era yet. Like, I feel like we may be in a Renaissance era, but we're far from that level of Renaissance era where people can go show to show, win other championships, and come back. And like, this ain't AEW where they're like, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. We're cool with them people over there. We don't mind you like going over there and doing stuff. But the E is not like that.
I dig that. Now let me throw another little caveat to this, which also could lead into something. Now also on TNA, Jordynne Grace came out and issued an open challenge for the TNA Knockouts Championship at, I believe it's Against All Odds, which is their next pay-per-view coming up. So now hearing that, what is the chance that we see the vice versa happening? If Roxanne Perez actually shows up on the TNA side to try to challenge.
Here's my curveball for you, though. Not even a curveball. I don't think it will be Roxanne Perez. I think it will be Becky Lynch.
Ooh. Now, with what we've been, so of course, it's no secret, Becky Lynch's contract, for all intents and purposes, by the time you guys hear this, her contract would be up, and she technically would be a free agent. Now, we've heard rumors that, you know what, she's looking to take a good amount of time off, which, respect, I think she's definitely earned that. At the same time, we know Seth just went through having surgery for his injuries and a little bit of time off that he's going to have. It sounds like there would be a good opportunity for them to kind of take care of themselves, cool off for a little bit, heal up, and come back. So I don't know, but who knows? This could be a way for Becky to potentially go over to a TNA to do something like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it will happen. I think it could be a cool thing, though, where maybe they could sign her to, like, a small contract. By all means, she ain't getting WWE money over in TNA.
I mean, not that she needed. She's a #1 best-selling author now.
Hey, multiple revenue streams. But I could see something like that happening.
As long as it's not Naomi. Like, as much as I would want to see a three-peat, like, I feel like that will confuse the WWE fans, because when she goes and challenges TNA, they're not going to call her Naomi. They're going to call her Trinity.
But they won't. I feel like now, if they were to do that, she would come back over as Naomi, because she's coming over as a WWE superstar. So I don't think they would do that. She would come back as Naomi.
The fans know her as Naomi, but everything there is set up for Trinity.
I get it. I get it. But we're in a very, very interesting place with how this is happening.
As long as it's not Charlotte. As long as it's not Charlotte. I don't like anyone on the women's roster can challenge Miss Grace for a TNA women's champion, knockout championship, I think it's still called. Knockout.
It's still a knockout championship.
Yeah. Like anyone but Charlotte. That's all I care about.
I don't know. I don't think I would be upset right now if Charlotte showed. I don't. If she wins, whatever. But I don't.
She has that flare rub. Shenanigans will ensue. Anyone but Charlotte.
But that's fine. But when you create that, though, especially if they're going to make this a thing, because the rumor is there are supposed to be other crossovers happening outside of just the women's division between TNA and NXT. So obviously NXT has their pay-per-view coming up, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So we could see some interesting things happen. I just want to see, listen, these partners, right now, WWE and TNA, I'm intrigued. I don't know if you've been looking at social media pages of some of the wrestlers and some of the conversations and things that have been happening. For those, obviously, that are big WWE, maybe not so much in TNA fans, Drew McIntyre obviously had a stint when he was in TNA as Drew Galloway.
Yep.
Him and Moose have already had some banter back and forth, and each of them just talk to our bosses. They each were talking to each other, calling each other out, because they're looking forward to seeing that match potentially to happen. Not gonna lie, I would be down to actually see Moose versus Drew McIntyre. Now,
that'd be a pretty dope match.
But just like you said, it's hard to have somebody to lose in these situations. I don't see Drew going over there and losing to Moose, but at the same time, with the way that Drew's kind of story has been building up, let's say we go to Glasgow, he does win the World Heavyweight Championship, and now we can put TNA champion Moose against World Heavyweight champion Drew McIntyre. There's a lot of potential, but it's just hard to say who would lose. I don't want it to be one
and
of those.
then from a story perspective for both companies, it's like you can't really make it a one-off.
No.
Like you can, but you shouldn't. And
Shouldn't.
that will now interfere in your mainstream storytelling. Because now you have a whole separate alternate side story that you have to complete.
Hey, and I'm good with it. And you know what it could lead us to? Survivor Series. And we can actually see something that is like a weighted type of thing to happen. TNA versus WWE/NXT, a Survivor Series. That could be very interesting. And you know what? I feel like it would be a plus on both sides. Obviously, WWE the bigger company. But let's be real. If you're having these type of wrestlers finally being able off the square with each other. Now listen. Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. To see him show back up against somebody in WWE.
I'm here to show the world. Cut the music. That's not my music no more.
That's not my music no more. Like, that could be super interesting to see. And of
like
course,
Matt Cardona.
See, the only thing with Matt Cardona right now, he's injured, so it's a little bit. This could build over time. He's technically not signed to TNA, but definitely as a free agent.
So the indie guy, the #1 free agent.
This could be his way to come back and potentially to have a match in WWE without actually coming back to WWE. I like that, and he said that. Listen. At some point, he would love to come back to WWE and do the Matt Cardona thing. For everyone, Zack Ryder is dead. Zack Ryder had to die for Matt Cardona to be born. And I would love to see Matt Cardona being able to come to a WWE side and use that character. But right now, we are looking at the potential of something incredible. Now, obviously, AEW is the one catalyst that works right now, honestly, with every other promotion that's out there, with the exception of WWE.
Yep.
Maybe eventually at some point that could change, but I'm gonna be real with you. Until Tony gets himself together, which baby steps, potentially maybe
both parties, to be honest. It's both like more so Tony than Paul, but it'll be a while before any sort of door opens on that.
Whatever you want to call it. But right now, I think WWE and trying to step with TNA could use that little extra leverage on their side.
Which is surprising that it's TNA and not Ring of Honor.
Well, Ring of Honor, obviously, it's under the AEW banner. It's under the Khan banner. If it had been before he purchased it, if Ring of Honor hadn't have been purchased by Tony Khan, I 100% could see that being a nice little tie-in there for it. Especially with some of the history of wrestlers that are currently with WWE right now, and being able to link that to Ring of Honor. Like before the Khans purchased it, there have been some flashbacks in WWE that they've talked about.
You know what? A thought has just occurred to me. We got Jordan Grace appearing on NXT. Do we see the Motor City Machine Guns showing up?
That could be a good one, because everyone was expecting they were going to show up on AEW. We didn't get that yet. So, obviously plans change. So, who knows? If the E may have, hey guys, we want you to do this thing, and we're going to slide you this little check here.
Can't talk about it.
You can't talk about it, and you got to hold off until these plans come to fruition. So, who knows? That could be an interesting thing. Like, we're still, at this point, we're not that far out from when the Survivor Series would happen. Survivor Series is normally November, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So, June to November is a good little time to start planting some seeds in building, but it's just like I want to see more. I like this, and I know we're just subtly doing these things. But then let me position it this way: with some of the changes that we've seen, what if there is another play in motion here? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if they keep this up with Jordan Grace, it ain't gonna be soon before long where WWE is just like, hey, we want to give you this full-time contract and get you to come over. Now, I don't know anything about Jordan Grace's contract with TNA currently right now. I thought she re-signed. And if
yeah, I believe she re-signed.
It's probably would be a good little while before that would even happen. Rumor is the deal for this 3.
I mean, before all that, Paul could just buy her out of her contract.
And that was part of the thing I was going to bring up. Supposedly, with the 3 days that she's going to be doing, it's like a 6-figure deal that's in there. That's insane for potentially just a 3-time appearance. But Jordan Grace, honestly, 100% is worth that in every shape and form.
Oh yes,
and
she pulled a Gunther,
and I would love to see more of her in WWE. But what if TNA is potentially positioning themselves to either somehow be purchased or absorbed by WWE? Now,
well, you mean more so by TKO?
TKO, valid. Now, with the way business is structured, they still could be absorbed by WWE, be under WWE, which is of course owned by TKO. So when it comes time for like LLCs and incorporate, like you could do all of this type of stuff. But I don't want WWE to start trying to gobble up a lot of places.
Like, I don't think that will happen. Only for this, for the sheer premise that there is still a good relationship between Tony and Anvil.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony uses TNA as like, okay, our market is kind of saturated with talent. All right, you guys are going to go here. You guys are going to go there. These guys are staying here.
But I'm still wondering exactly. I'm honestly wondering if they still do have that nice relationship. Because with which one is it? No, AAA, which kind of started to have a relationship with AEW, but some of the wrestlers and having like a falling out with certain people within AAA kind of put up a wall where certain matches and certain things just wouldn't happen. Like Andrade at one point was supposed to be doing like a AAA AEW thing when he was over there, but because of certain issues, it never panned out.
But I don't think that was under AAA. I think that was under the that other.
No, it was AAA. It was AAA because remember when they made that announcement during whichever, I don't remember what pay-per-view that was that came on. It was kind of a surprise to see that because of the working relationship that they already had with AEW. Now, don't get me wrong. I like AEW wanting to work with many of promotions, but it just seemed at a weird time that they established this relationship with them. Then AEW started to establish the relationship with CMLL, which I know AAA and CMLL had, I believe they had some type of beef with each other. I don't know exactly what it was. So it was kind of the opposite playing field of seeing one go to TNA and then the other one show up back on AEW. So at the end of the day, working relationships can go a long way, but it's like, I want to see where this is leading to. Because obviously, Paul, Triple H for y'all, whichever way you want to go with it, you know, he's expressed like wanting to work with other promotions and other talent just to build and establish more. Not so AEW, like he didn't specifically name a company or name, but he was just like, listen, we would love to work with others to build relationships, to do these grand events and these grand things that fans will come to love. And
but at the same time, due to Tony Khan's verbiage, Paul is also known to be petty as well. because here's this upstart company trying to make a name for himself. Yes, they do a lot of name dropping on the main promotion because, hey, you gotta get that traction. You gotta, yes, it's a big market, but at the same time, you gotta bring in customers. You gotta bring in fans. So I get it from a business standpoint. It's not. I understand the concept, the process. Not happy with how it's executed.
I can understand that. That.
When this company says one thing and then this other company says, we don't even acknowledge you. Like, you're not even like a threat. You're no ECW. You're no WCW. Like, you're a hatchling. You're fledgling. Like, you don't even matter to us. We're behemoths.
Yeah, I do think though with these little small things that they're doing, it could help TNA. I still think they still have a long way to go. They're not the TNA of like the early 2000s, where at one point I could consider them almost to have been a little bit of a threat. Just
they were 100% a threat. they had Ron Killings. They had that's R-Truth. That's R-Truth for you folks that only know him for singing and dancing and everything in WWE now. That man was a monster in TNA. They had like young prime AJ, young prime Joe. They had Beer Money, which is Bobby Roode, aka Mr. Glorious, that's in the backstage in WWE now. They had Xavier Woods.
Consequences Creed.
Like, they had Jeff Hardy. They had Christian when he left. They had like everybody. Like, if you really want to talk about name dropping, they were notorious. People forget about how much TNA badmouth WWE.
That's valid. I will tell you, TNA.
There was a point, ladies and gentlemen. We're kind of getting off the rails, but I'm gonna make this short, sweet, and simple. Where R-Truth, aka Ron Killings, was actually doing rap disses about John Cena in TNA. You can look it up. He has a whole diss track, and then he has a side promo in which he still, in the promo, raps a song about John Cena and telling him, come to TNA. We're waiting for you.
That was definitely a thing. And honestly, Kurt Angle, honestly, as much as I loved his run in WWE,
Angle? Bro, stop it.
Kurt Angle is probably my favorite
time Kurt Angle in TNA, where he gave no fucks.
That was my favorite time. Like,
heck, even Chyna was in TNA
for a brief period of time.
And Victoria.
Mm-hmm. So there's building that they can use, and obviously with some of the stars that have been over there, WWE can finally use some of that footage, especially with like the likes of Drew McIntyre. How we've noticed it's not like he's been a secret that like WWE fired him. He left, redeveloped himself, and then came back. This could be a perfect opportunity for him to even expound on that story even more, being able to show some of his TNA time. Hey, not to mention, like, I forget the name of the group, but it was Drew, LA Knight, and
I know what you're talking about.
I can't think of the third person. They were a group in TNA. They ain't gonna get together back in WWE, but that could make an interesting promo session that they could have to talk about those good times. But I want to see this grow more out of Jordynne Grace. Like, I'm be honest with you. I think Jordynne Grace is gonna win the NXT Women's Championship.
Bro, I don't think so, man, because Cora Jade is gonna make a return and she's going after the belt, man.
That's cool, but remember, we're still gonna have by the time of then, the Women's North American Championship will be in play. So there will be another belt that they will be able to compete for down there in NXT. But I think Jordynne Grace is actually going to probably take this championship. Listen, as good faith, we've had Jordynne Grace come over on, at this point now, 2 instances.
I don't see it.
She did okay in the Rumble. We knew she wasn't going to win the Rumble. That would have
been, that would have been shenanigans. Like, actual shenanigans would have had happened to where that scenario. In the alternate reality, Jordynne Grace won the Women's Royal Rumble.
And it's been in WrestleMania.
And went to WrestleMania and became a champion. Alternate timeline. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
But the potential is there, and I think Jordynne Grace would be amazing to participate at WrestleMania. But I'm eager to see where this goes. Like, listen, Shawn, NXT, and them, they've been cooking. They have been cooking, and
this is Shawn Michaels. Like, we all know how Shawn Michaels is. Even as a Reformed Christian, we still know how Shawn Michaels operates. Like, let's keep it a buck here. Like, when it comes to, that's what, you know what, I was about to say something. Let me
scale back a little bit.
Scale it back.
I'm eager to see where they run with this. The partnership, like this could be a good start of WWE doing something. Like, we've seen some different stuff as of recent, having all of these international shows, which are clearly paying off. Thank you, France, for now everybody is like literally singing everybody's songs. They're trying to do it over here. It's not as strong, but they're trying.
That's because we don't have no actual songs.
No, I'm talking about like the wrestlers' themes. I'm not talking about all that original stuff that they are doing over. I don't want none of that to come over here, because that will not work. France can have all of that, but having like singing Cody songs. And listen, for as long as Randy has been in the WWE, there has not been one time where we have heard the audience sing along to Voices in all of these years. France did that, and now folks over here are trying to do it.
I think there's been like one time where like people who sung. It was probably exactly the one time, but I do remember the audience singing Randy Orton's theme song once.
But I'm liking 2024 for WWE. I don't want to say I hate that it took the way the events went down for this to.
Hey, we can't talk about that. But that's still under litigation.
It is worse off than what it ever was. So, but this new life that we are seeing with WWE, the TNA partnership, we're going to keep a close eye on this. By next Sunday, we're going to probably have a new women's NXT champion, and if that happens,
oof.
Woo. We'll see.
That's all I got. That's all I can say on that. Oof.
I'm super excited. I'm sorry. I think Jordynne Grace is going to destroy Roxanne Perez. As good as she is, I think she's going to destroy her. But we gotta wait until NXT. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, because that we'll stay on that for a minute. That was a good little chunk. What you got on the docket? I know we had a little brief convo.
Yeah, it's more so a question than a topic. It's kind of hand in hand. Is Mercedes Moné worth the money that Tony Khan and AEW brass pay for?
I'm gonna be honest. Right now, I don't know. Because as much as we knew she was going to win the TBS championship, it really didn't impress me. I don't know if right now, if all that money they put for her, don't get me wrong, people love Mercedes. People love Mercedes. I'm not there yet. I've had I've had moments when she showed up in New Japan, you know, I was a little excited. I was like, this is something different. I want to see us cook with this. But as of right now, I don't know, because over the last few weeks with this build, with her versus Willow Nightingale, one, when it came time for promos and work on the mic, Willow has bodied Mercedes like it's been nobody's business. I still feel like in the ring at times there's still some polishing that needs to be done. But I don't know if that money right now is worth it. Especially, and don't get me wrong, if some of these other AEW women come back, I mean, they're probably going to be more of in the AEW Women's Championship title, but like Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, seeing them come back, like if Britt Baker and Mercedes get into a feud, I'm not picking against Britt Baker at all. Not on any playing field. But right now, I don't know. I don't think that money was worth having her come over like this.
I feel as though as someone who likes to take risk and dabble in like stocks and stuff, I feel like as an investment, it's a smart investment. It's all right, I know the product that I'm getting. I expect this product to do well in my current environment. So from that point, I think it's fine. What I dislike is I think they jumped the gun. Like, everyone knew Mercedes signed with AEW. Everyone knew she was going to be in Boston. Everyone knew all, like, it there was no like mass buildup. It was just like we already know, we're not stupid. Like, we knew Okada was coming. Like, you can't try to fool the fans that already know your playbook. And from her first match with Willow in New Japan, in which she got injured, which derailed her essentially her entire indie run, in which I feel that those months, even though she was a big name, I felt like had she not been injured, she would have received that Cody status, that AJ Styles lone wolf status. Like, oh, she left the company, she had all these banger matches, oh, she talked the talk and walked the walk. Okay, she is a boss, she is a CEO, she's all these things she's saying she is. But that injury took her off that path, and so now it's kind of like she's playing catch up.
Now answer this. What if? Because at this point right now, Willow and Mercedes, like, their career trajectories that have been so far have been because of the fact of Mercedes getting hurt. Do you think Willow? Don't get me wrong. Willow is solid on her own, but do you think she would have gotten this extra push had she had not actually beaten Mercedes and won that championship at that point in time?
Not as quick. I believe their feud in New Japan could have been a three-peat type of scenario. Like, I felt like that could have actually been a thing. But circumstances that have happened, I don't see Willow getting that, like, all this push, because right after she won the women's New Japan Strong Championship.
The Strong Championship.
Yeah, like after that, and then she goes on into Ring of Honor and TNA and starts doing stuff there, and then make her way to AEW, like all the while going in between TNA and AEW. Like, I feel as though she wouldn't have gotten to all of these steps as quick had it not been for that injury. Like, because I remember first watching Willow and I was like, oh, this is Willow. I've seen her in New Japan. Like, oh, she's always so bubbly. Like, oh, she has potential to be a star. I think I'm on record saying that she was going to be big. And like, I guess a series of right place, right time, bad situation worked out in her favor.
100%.
I feel like that for most wrestlers, that's that recipe of success. John Cena is a prime example. Right place. Actually, no. Yeah, right place, wrong time, right opportunity.
Yeah, Willow definitely thrived because of that. But as of right now, I think with the way Mercedes was introduced, I think we got her teased too soon. Like, when she was still hurt. Supposedly, rumor is apparently she had been medically cleared since like the beginning of the year. And I heard that, and they were just waiting to get her and put her in the right spot to bring her in. But I feel like they teased her too soon. When we saw her at, I think that was All In. That was 2 years ago. Last year All In.
Yep.
And she was in the
rafters. Yep.
I just think that they started and teased it too soon. Like, we knew, obviously, once she showed up in New Japan, it was only a matter of time before, obviously, she hit Stardom. It was only a matter of time before the AEW was going to end up being next in her vision. But I think they teased her too soon. I think they may have over pushed a little bit of it. Like, I'm cool with the whole, when they did Big Business, you know, it made sense. Everything about that made sense. But at the same time, it was like, oh, we know what's coming. Like, I don't know. I miss...
And I think all of this is to say that a lack of foresight. Because I believe she wasn't meant to be put in the TBS Women's Championship slot.
Nah.
I believe she was scheduled to be in that the AEW Women's Championship class of wrestlers. But they didn't expect Timeless Toni Storm to get over as fast and as quick as it did.
I'm so happy for that. Because, like, listen, if she came in and beat Toni Storm with the way that she is right now, I'd be hot. I would be so hot if she did that, because Timeless Toni Storm is going to last for a good while. I don't think she's going to lose that belt probably until All In again. I think she's going to be hanging on to that for a while, or at least until Britt and Tony, and Jamie make their returns to potentially throw into the mix. Tony is just a sure bet with that belt on her. Don't get me wrong, she don't need it. She's solid, 100%.
Yeah, she put in the work, and now she doesn't really need a title to define her AEW run.
Valid. I'm totally for it, but I'm still in a position where I just feel as though I get what you're saying. For the business aspect of it, it was a smart move to get her locked down to probably a decent length contract and getting her in. But I don't.
So what would you say that would be the number one thing to sell you into believing, all right, she was worth it. She was worth getting.
We need a better payoff. Like, I need to feel like when you set foot and you hit these promos, and I need them to land. For me, they're not 100% landing. Like, I don't feel like you are that threat that you should be coming in here like you are currently right now. And I'm happy they're treating the TBS Championship still like as a main championship. It's a mid card. I guess you could say it's a women's mid card belt, but it's being treated like if it was definitely that main.
It's being treated like the Intercontinental Championship,
and I think that is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I think that is a great thing. I just don't know if she's gonna keep that same presence with that championship. And I'm gonna be honest with you. The moment she loses that championship, I feel like she's gonna fizzle back out. They'll somehow figure out how to get her in the main women's championship picture, but I feel like when she loses that TBS belt, she's gonna fizzle out. And I like
what I would expect to see, seeing as her character is a CEO, is to do a TNA option C.
Mm-hmm.
If her character is a boss who is a CEO, I expect her to go up and be like, I'm the CEO of this place. I don't need this belt. I want your belt. So here, you can have this. Give me my shot now.
I'm interested to see, but right now, I'm lukewarm right now when it comes to Mercedes. I was amped when she showed up in New Japan.
Oh yeah, like I was 100% behind Mercedes Moné, Indy going throughout not really the Indies, but the other major wrestling promotions, and getting her feet wet there, and just basically kind of going back to her roots in a way. And she was solid there. Like, coming back from an injury is no easy feat, especially first couple of matches back. Like, you can train at your body as much, but to fully commit and believe I can still do this is a whole nother thing, and that's where I think she is right now. I think she needs to just believe her body can take it, and then once she believes her body can take it, focus on her promos, focus on selling whatever she needs to sell, and driving that story and making people more invested in the product.
I dig it, but we just see more. I'm eager to see what Wednesday looks like if she's on the show. See what they do for it. I don't know. Lukewarm right now is where I'm at. Lukewarm, but time can easily either make or break it. But she's getting paid though. At the end of the day, she's getting that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Super lucrative contract with AEW.
I dig it. All right, so I think we're good on our first two topics there. So for all of you that are watching, you're getting this beginning part of the finisher. We're gonna get ready to shift gears, and we're going to our Patreon exclusive topic. But just remember, y'all, easy enough. If you want to be able to hear that third topic and get some other content, just hop on over to Patreon. Subscribe to us on there. You can get in at the lowest tier to be able to hear the extra topic and get some of the other exclusive content that we have on there. I think that'll wrap this up. So for those that are watching, appreciate it. For those that are listening, appreciate it. Whether you're in the car, wherever, we're happy you're just here along with the journey with us for this. But that wraps up.
Really appreciate it. Really do.
That wraps up the beginning part of the finisher. We'll catch you guys next time.
Loading snacks.